All right, quick intro clip here to demonstrate the interaction between Cupcake and Manatee. So this is temporary stats that are then converted into permanent stats because of the heart ability. And I was kind of interested to see someone post, I think they posted hatching chick manatee on Reddit. And I thought, okay, let's try and experiment with some of the temporary stat gaining pets. And unfortunately, the interactions don't seem to be all that consistent. And I don't know if any of this has changed since I recorded this, because this video is quite old now. But I tried having Leech hurt the dog and hurt the gazelle after they'd gained temporary stats. However, in both cases, it didn't actually do anything. It didn't convert the temporary stats to permanent. So I'm not really sure exactly why Manatee and Yak are treated differently. But here, what I decided to do was go for something that's been known about for quite a long time now, I think. But I don't think anyone really ever does it because it's not particularly useful or practical. But that is generating massive temporary stats with the dog. I guess you can do it with Gazelle now as well. And then also having Frog and Tamarin on board, and then transferring the temporary stats from the dog onto the Tamarin, and then selling the Tamarin to convert those stats to permanent stats. Now, there's absolutely no reason to do this ever, really. It's just for my own amusement. But here we get the level 3 dog incredibly quickly. And I actually had quite a few attempts at this. And this was the only one where I got the super early level 3 dog. And I guess it's probably obvious why you kind of need that, because in order to generate the temporary stats in the first place to actually do the sell, you're going to have to also buy-sell a whole load of stuff in the same turn. And that's not super good for your team when you've also got Tamarin and Frog wasting spaces like I do here. But because we got the really good early start, it means we can, we've got some kind of a chance of surviving. So here on turn 8, we're ready to get the stats transferred onto the Tamarin. It's kind of weird seeing a very small Tamarin this late. However, here's an example of another team that, normally you'd expect them to be doing a transfer with the Bulldog. I'm not sure if that's what was actually going on there. Maybe they'd already transferred something. Here I make a little bit of a mistake. I should have just sold the pug and then bought the Tamarin into the empty slot, because then the dog would have got plus 3/3. But now we're in the position that we're looking for, which is getting a few buy-sells in on the dog, and then transferring the stats to the Tamarin with the Frog. So it's not BullFrog, it's DogFrog. And now we can sell the Tamarin and get the permanent stats on the Sabertooth. Now, of the units in the shop, I could actually take the Leech here, because then if the Leech triggers the Sabertooth in the shop, the dog is also going to get plus 3/3. However, of course, then the turtle won't work. So maybe I should have done it anyway, because on this, on turn 9, a 40 health unit probably doesn't necessarily need melon. But you can see here what happens. The Sabertooth summons the pet and the dog gets plus 3/3, which I thought is pretty funny. Now, I think if you were really sweating to try and win from here, you would just sell the dog. But I felt like, it's been a good boy. We've got to try and take it all the way to the end. And here I make the classic mistake of going for Moose. I don't know how many times I've taken Moose and then regretted it, but unfortunately, it's not going to make any difference against Skunk. But luckily, actually, this time the Moose's stats, although I think it only gave plus 1/1 in the shop, or 2/2, at least it managed to eke out the draw there. But you can see the problem here is if I don't buy-sell a whole load of stuff, then the dog is pretty much useless. Because the Sabertooth is very unlikely to trigger more than a couple of times at most. Although they have changed that on the test server, so Sabertooth will now trigger when it faints as well. So, that's something interesting to play about with when they finally release it. Here we go against another Heart team, and thankfully the Elephant actually has over 20 attacks, so the Sabertooth gets to trigger, and then it's going to generate the extra stats for the dog, and we're going to win that round. And here I should just be saying goodbye to Moose, but I could be taking Dragonfly here. I've got a level 3 and a level 2 now, but instead I am leaving it in there. I don't know, would you say Moose synergizes with buy sell? I don't know, I guess it does, but not in a situation like this where you run out of gold for actual buy selling, and the buffs go to the turtle. This is a pretty strong looking team. They've looks like they've done some transferring of their own, and they got the double husky. In fact, double level 2 husky this quickly. Maybe there was an alpaca involved there, I'm not sure. But we luckily eked out the draw because they had no equipment being a husky team. Now, there was cat there. I should have really taken cat, but I suspect what was going on here was I'd maybe just had a run which had cat in it, so I was deliberately avoiding using it. And here again, Moose gives +1/1. Amazing stuff. I've also got a feeling that this pack was really, really bad. I think it was probably the pack that I was using for the manatee koala run, and there wasn't a huge amount of stuff in it. I think this might have been at the beginning, early on, when I hadn't added all the sort of OP units to try and get the win. And here, we've got another horrible shop with double magpie. We're just going to roll once, and again there's a tier 1, and I freeze the tier 6, which I can't take, so another +1/1 from the Moose. Doing amazing work. But you can see here what happens, look at the dog stats when I don't manage to get that many buy sells into one turn. And it is going to recover some here, but it's still, we're basically hoping or relying on actually getting multiple triggers from the Sabertooth, which is not a good place to be. Another cat, which definitely I should be taking, even though the Sabertooth's almost at full stats. And unfortunately, it's one of those annoying things where you level up with a chocolate and get the pet that you needed for the level up, and therefore can't do anything with it. But here we do actually get a decent number of buy sells, and we can roll down, and I think I'm going to take Pteranodon here, because that will double the turtle feint. So if the dog loses its melon, it will get it back. And we get matched with a triple cat team. And unfortunately, the Sabertooth is not going to have enough there. We're going to get destroyed. That's just custom packs for you. So down to 1 life. And I think, I should just sell the Pteranodon because, the melon from the turtle is not good enough at this point. We do get some decent buy sells in the shop. We really need some of them to hit the dog rather than the Sabertooth. And probably end on Grizzly here. I got to buy into the empty slot to get the buff for the dog. And then end on Grizzly. And I think I put it to the back. I guess in theory Grizzly synergizes with Sabertooth, but it's not like Orca where you're actually getting guaranteed summons. You can get absolutely no summons from a Sabertooth, at least in the current version. And we get matched with this level 3 skunk. It's the hardest of hard counters here. And the Rhino Tiger team wipes my whole lineup with no losses. So it was fun, at least while it lasted. Now here's an extra bonus clip just showing the difference of how bad this strat is. Here is DogFrog going against BullFrog, and it's a 50-50 Bulldog on turn 9. I think you'd be hard pressed to achieve that using even the level 3 dog.